Hi Patriots, hope you're doing well. And real quick, I want to apologize for not uploading in over a month. My schedule has been busy lately, so I've had to unfortunately put a lot of things on the back burner, but it seems like I'm finally able to start catching up now. But I'm pretty excited about something that's happened recently. Turok 3, Shadows of Oblivion has been announced. And while I'm not particularly excited about this game specifically, it doesn't make me excited in the fact that Turok is a gaming franchise that has not been forgotten about. A while back ago, I made a shitty video talking about how I wanted the Turok series to come back, because while we've been having remasters, which I have no problem with, I absolutely love Turok, so more Turok I get, the happier I'll be. But for a while now, I've been hoping for a new IP. And with this remaster of Turok 3, I hope that this leads to either a new IP, or perhaps a remaster or a remake of Turok Evolution. Turok Evolution was my very first ever Turok game. And yes, I know that Evolution wasn't the greatest by most standards, but I was a kid, and a critically stupid kid at it too. As long as it had dinosaurs and I had fun with it, it was a good game to me. Fast forward a few years later, and Turok 2008 comes out, and again, I know it's not the greatest, but stupid uncritical me loved it, because it had dinosaurs and I had fun with it. And I know for many, it might seem weird that I've become such a fan of a very underground series compared to other series out there, especially from two games that haven't been necessarily the greatest. I've also read some of the Turok comics, but they've been the newer ones because the original ones are impossible to find online digitally, and way too expensive to purchase physical copies since they are no longer in print. I want to make an update to this. When I was recording footage for this video, my friend sent me a link that has all the Turok comics digitally on there, so I'll make sure to put that in the description if you want to check it out. But I became even more of a Turok fan after I played the remastered version of the original Turok game, Turok Dinosaur Hunter. I haven't finished the second one yet, but with the third one being announced, I think that's enough motivation for me to get around to finishing it. But with the announcement of Shadows of Oblivion being remastered, a glimmer of hope has sparked within my soul. I hope that this series has not been completely forgotten. And in the 1 in a million chance that NightDive Studios sees this video, you all have my utmost trust in whatever it is you plan to do with Turok as a video game. If I had a choice for you guys to either remaster or remake Evolution or make a new IP, I think I would go for either a remake or a remaster of Evolution. And that might be an unpopular opinion, but hear me out. Turok Evolution ended up the way it did not because of incompetent developers, but because the studio was going under, money was running out, and the developers were basically given a spoon to dig themselves out of a 6-foot grave as the dirt was pouring in at the same time. And the reason why I'm so infatuated with Turok Evolution isn't because of the game we got, but because of the game it could have been. Jurassic Park Trespasser was unfortunately a disappointment, because just like Turok Evolution, JPT had a lot of promise, and it unfortunately did not deliver what it aimed to present. I don't remember exactly why JPT failed during its development, but again, the concept of JPT was revolutionary, and if I'm correct, a lot of the engine physics technology was perpetuated by JPT, which was then further expanded upon by Valve with Half-Life 2. And Turok Evolution was supposed to be that game that revolutionized gaming. It was supposed to have revolutionary AI with the wildlife, the enemy AI, stealth mechanics, semi-open worldness to the linear level design. There were supposed to be so many things to this game that was supposed to make it great, but unfortunately, they were just not close enough to greatness.
Acclaim did indeed strongly suggest that certain games needed to be out by certain times, even if they weren't exactly ready. Acclaim's management definitely had an extremely aggressive style of applying pressure onto us. Very often during these years, Acclaim ordered a few rounds of firing and restructuring, which destabilized the situation even more. Then there were some rehires and back and forth again, so I would say that it was a pretty stressful production overall. In the end, we did tons and tons of overtime with the consequences these kind of things can have on people's lives and so on. The team is 35 people total, though there are a few more if you count shared resources being used to create tools for both Turok and Vex. The game has been in development for just under 2 years, but we must also remember that a full year of that really involves the creation of tools and engine technology. The game content itself followed as soon as the tools reached a usable state. It is a huge undertaking to create the tools and technology needed for games as big as Turok and Vex. That may have been due to either platform-specific assets or simply lack of time/resources to introduce them. Also, it could be that late in the game we had to cut some levels out, which may have given us too many problems games, either technically or just quality-wise. The end of the project definitely was fast and furious. We did so much work that the art team I was running was just in head-down mode. Once we sent our assets along with animations and so on, we trusted the rest of the team to use them wisely. That is completely true, says David Levy. Ultimately though, Evolution did not live up to its investment and expectations, and Acclaim had made some really bad choices with a few other games. In the end, the lack of vision or understanding of the gaming business coming from a publisher can only lead to devastating results for a studio. I feel sad for the way Iguana collapsed, as I feel it had finally become a very functional group despite the constant shakeups we were under. A lot of the mistakes we learned on Turok were not reproduced once the whole company was more stabilized and were able to create a game like the Red Star, for which as a studio we were very proud of. Sadly, at that point, Acclaim did not really care about anything but making maximum profit by restructuring and dumping the studio with golden parachutes made out of our 401ks.
And the thing is, you can see a lot of these designs in the game, they just are implemented very well. It's very buggy and unfortunately makes the game worse than better. And simply because they just weren't able to polish these mechanics. And since NightDive have proven themselves over and over that they can take these old games and remaster them on modern hardware, and they're always good and never buggy, is enough to convince me that they are up to the task. Hell, look at their System Shock remake. I personally haven't played it yet, but from everyone I've heard who has played it, they say it's pretty damn good. And that's why I think NightDive is the best studio to handle the Turok franchise, because unfortunately, not many studios, in my opinion, could make a Turok game worth my while. So while it's easier said than done, I think all NightDive would have to do if they remastered it is obviously make it compatible non-modern hardwares and fix all the bugs and issues that the game had. If that ends up being unfeasible, then I would say a remake from the ground up would be the best choice. And honestly, thinking about it, I think a remake would probably be the better choice to make. You can redo the story, you can add all the mechanics and features that the game is supposed to have, but with all the modern techniques and coding to actually make it functionable. Then you can make your own assets, use your own source codes, you can make this game from the ground up and give it that NightDive magic. Of course, I wouldn't mind a new IP either. Turok is in desperate need of the attention it absolutely deserves. 2008 was the last attempt at a Turok game, with the second one being cancelled unfortunately due to the studio closing down. Which makes me sad, because again with Evolution, we had no clue what we missed out on. It could have been good, it could have been the nail in the coffin for the series as a whole, but most importantly, what do you guys think? Do you agree that Turok Evolution should be remastered or remade, or do you think they should make a new IP? I'm always interested in hearing what you guys have to say, so make sure to comment, like, and subscribe if you're interested in my content. I've got a Baldur's Gate 3 video in the works, so if you're interested in that, make sure you're subscribed. So anyway, that's about it, and I'll see you guys when the next video drops.